Hey everyone, welcome back to the IwEP network, or if it's your first time,
Thank you for hanging out with us.
thank you so much for choosing this podcast, and feedback is always welcome. So make sure to check the links below for all social media links, audio and video versions of this show, and merch. We look forward to hearing from you and hearing that feedback, and enjoy the show.
And dreams that fall down from the clouds inside my sleep. Sometimes they are fake, but they still dig deep. And when I follow them to the back of my mind, I find that I've gone too far this time. Too far this time.
Check. Hey everyone, this is Anthony with Interviews with Everyday People. I don't remember, I always do this, I don't know what episode number. All right, whatever. I think it's become like a bit, and it's really not trying to become a bit. It's just that
Don't remember.
I do my intro, and I'm so terrible at it. I just forget what number I'm at.
You
and
write it down with little cards.
it's past 100.
cue
I know
cards.
that we're over the 100 mark. So it's 100 and some. Yeah, here we are. We are on location, as you'll see on camera. If you're not watching video, it's audio only. You won't see this, so we'll give you a visual. We are in downtown Pottsville. We're looking at the brand new parking garage.
Yeah.
Which what used to be the Pokemon Go hotspot. That street would be filled with people till 3 a.m. Just Pokemon going it up. Remember those days?
Yes.
It was a weird summer.
Yeah.
I didn't have Wi-Fi and I didn't really have internet, so I couldn't participate.
So you just
And
look out the window.
Like, saw that there was a phenomenon that I couldn't take part of.
You're like a kid look out the
It's
window
cool,
like
I guess maybe I don't know. I don't really know what it is. I felt like an old man for the first time, even though like it was targeted at me.
yeah. you're like the kid out the window who's like grounded, like I want to play with the kids. But yeah, that was fun. What made that fun was a special spot was during the early stages of the game. It was very hard to catch stuff because it would be very limited, and the game was more or less designed for bigger cities. So people from like other towns would come to Pottsville, and this was like the spot. And it would be filled.
We're from another town. And we came to
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it would be filled with lawn chairs, and people
Yeah.
would sit there because there's 3 spots that you can sit at,
Lawn
and
chairs.
your phone.
Yeah, they would just sit there.
It would just be filled with lawn chairs and
Because
people
there's
sitting
one.
there.
There was one at Yingling too, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
where your phone would be there, it would connect to 3 stops. So in the video game, the stops would be you could spin it and get balls.
Okay.
So you can keep playing.
Sure.
But you can also put down what was called like a lure, and it would attract
Bring
Pokemon
out
to it. So you don't even have to move. And you
And lawn chairs.
and they would
Yeah.
all come to you, and then every 3 minutes you can spin and get more balls, and you can catch them all day long.
just hang out all day.
So people would just come here because it was like, and you would look in the game and be like, oh, people are at the parking garage, because it'd be lit up, and you'd see like in the game it'd be like pink glitter all over it.
Oh,
It'd be
you
like,
can see where all the people are?
well, you could see
Yeah.
that people activated a lure on the spot.
And then everybody goes there.
Yeah, and then everyone's like, oh, someone paid money for the lure. Let's go mooch off it. And then everybody would just be there all night long. Like, all right, it's about to end. Who's doing the next one? Yeah, it was a good time.
People were real social.
Yeah,
They were nice.
they were.
I
It
miss
was.
that.
I'm sure when summer comes back around and that's not like a huge concrete gated off section, I'm sure it will not be as popular, but it'll be popular again. They can come in, check out some bikes. You can have like a little cooler of water or stuff, make some money off people.
Yeah,
Lemonade stand.
Yeah, lemonade stands.
Some snacks.
These windows open, so
Oh yeah, these side ones.
Yeah.
Oh,
You could do
nice.
like put like a little ice cream thing there. and you
granola
just-
bars or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yo, we got Pokemon themed stuff.
Popsicle. We got snacks.
But let's finally tell people where we are. So we're at the Pottsville Cycle, right?
Cyclery.
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 And your name?
Alan.
No last name.
Oh, Reiner.
Al-
Yeah.
Alan,
If you don't want to.
Yeah, no.
yeah,
that's
sorry.
fine.
And it is technically not open yet, but it will
Correct.
be very soon.
Yeah. We don't have an official date, but should be soon.
Yeah, I like it, man. I'm a fan. I when I say this, it's a joking thing. It's not an insult, but I say you're part of the revitalization hipster team. I used to make jokes with Tim. I was like, but you guys are doing really, really amazing stuff. You're bringing business in. You're proud of where you are.
Yep.
You're trying to bring things here. It'd be fun to get to a point where maybe the dream, maybe like soon, like Pottsville will have a bike lane, like where people can drive bikes around town.
So that's kind of, there is some people working on that.
Really?
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Because there's the Greenway Trail that comes off of 61, and then there's some folks that are working on, if you think of that as a highway, creating an exit that'll come into Pottsville and kind of cruise around a little bit.
Yeah. And then
Seems pretty
go
aspirational
to all
at this point, but-
the businesses and
Yeah.
stuff.
That's cool,
Yeah.
though.
Just create something, and also not only be a bike path, but also be like a safer walking path.
There's always people.
Because like, especially going up from here to like the Fairlane Mall, I mean, walking up and down 61, people die there every year getting hit by cars. So
Yeah.
creating a safe way to kind of traverse through bikes and with walking.
Cool.
I don't know where they're at, but I know that there's people doing that.
Yeah, and we have like the Yingling Run, and then eventually it could be a thing where they can have like a bike
Yeah,
thing.
that's the dream.
Yeah, and there's more than you would know. People who are interested in that in this area.
Yep.
Like I know my dad's a huge bike. Like he's really into bike riding.
Our mechanic is.
Our mechanic,
Yeah.
Dave Prosick, he's a huge bike rider.
The thing I've noticed, and the thing I keep telling people when they ask, is people come up to me and they're like, "Oh, I'm so excited! There's a bike shop coming to town. You know, I'm out there and I'm like the only person in the county that rides, but I'm glad you're coming." And I'm like, "Look, there are like 100 of those people
Yeah.
that all just somehow don't know each other.
Yeah.
But there are lots of people in the area that ride.
yeah,
But they
yeah.
all just ride by themselves or ride with one or two guys.
Yeah.
But there's this big group, but there's just no central place for people to come and meet.
Yep.
And I'm really hoping that this can kind of become that hub.
Yeah, you can have like things like, hey, or like a Facebook community page.
Yeah, exactly.
And then be like, hey, if you're a cycle, you can join our Facebook page,
Yep.
and you can get bike rides together or do events.
Yep.
Your like meet and greet.
Yeah, little meet and greets. I know the big thing. It's somewhere on the table. Oh, here it is. Here, bikes and beers.
Yeah.
it's a community page, and
Yep.
it's all about orchestrating bike rides with people, and then you do a bike ride and a trail, and then you end up at a brewery at the
Yeah.
end, and you get your food and something.
Yeah.
Pottsville's getting 2 breweries soon. We're
gonna have 3
We're
soon.
gonna have 3 now with Yingling. It's like bikes and beers are. It's a weird combination. You didn't think would be a thing, but it's awesome.
Beers after bikes, always.
Beers after, yes. Beers after
Not
bikes.
Not beers before.
but
combination.
but it is something that I've learned heavily with learning more about the beer community.
Yeah, the
that-
cultures are intertwined for sure.
Absolutely. Like my dad is like, all right, I'm going on a bike ride. Like he met
has,
met
like, a
people
whole
like
group,
in
yeah.
upstate New York, or he meets people in Harrisburg, and he'll be like, all right, we're doing our bike ride, and then we're gonna stop at this brewery at the end, and then he's on our beer page, like, did a bike ride, got these beers at the end.
He wants to go to Idaho for some.
Yeah, there's like a really
there's,
big
a
trail in
good
Idaho.
trail,
That's a really big deal. Like people book it out years in advance or something like that. Yeah. And then the Appalachian Trail is not too far from here. I don't know if that's really a good biking thing.
I think parts of it are
Yeah.
bikeable, but I'm not. I don't think all of it is.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
Yeah. Pottsville, I don't know how far it goes down, but that Rails for Trails, that's another big
Yeah,
thing in the area.
that's the Greenway thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
as far as I know.
There's a lot of potential.
Yeah.
Like I said, and this is another key business that will go into one that that'll fit with everything else.
Yeah.
You can bike from place to place in town, more spots can open up for other businesses to flourish. It's very, very exciting, and it's cool that it's still a thing that's going to be happening, even though we're in the midst of a pandemic where it's like could have railroaded everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one of the few businesses that really flourished during the pandemic was people buying bikes. It actually caused a shortage for bikes. People, because you can't do anything. People are stuck at home, but you can go for a ride by yourself somewhere. And so bikes sold out everywhere. And so it was like this huge bike boom, bigger than we've ever seen in this country, comparable to the bike boom in the 70s,
Yeah.
where just everybody sold out. And so for me, it was like, that's great. I want to be able to also sell bikes, but not only do I want to sell bikes, but all those people that bought bikes are going to need a place to go and get their bike fixed and learn about bikes. And they've entered the culture, but now they need like somebody to help hold their hand and kind of keep pushing them forward. And we don't want these people that bought a bike this summer to never ride again after this summer.
Yeah.
We want to kind of
keep
continue that
the
growth.
community. And I think if they had like with the building a community and learning about more bikers in the area, they can be like,
Meet some friends.
yeah, and it really builds up a nice little the community. Pottsville did have I think 2 bike shops at one point in time down
There was
right by
Bike
the
and
wheel.
Board 7 years ago.
And then on the way towards, if you're going like towards
On Market Street,
like
I
Bob
think.
Weaver's,
Yep.
like on that right hand side that used like by that red light and there's
Yep.
a gas station, that was a bike shop. And I always remember people being like, "Oh man, that bike shop," or "I missed that bike shop. I wish we had something like that again." Well, here it comes.
Yeah, I hear
It's
a lot
coming
of that.
back. So is this mostly is there a type of bike that you're going to specialize here in? Is it going to be open
No.
for any type of
Yeah,
people?
we do it all, and we want to make sure that we're helping people from the kid that's getting his first bike to the guy that's been riding for 70 years and knows more than I do.
Yeah.
We want to be a space for everybody, like super inclusive. A lot of bike shops can end up being a place that feels very elitist, where it's just for the people who are like very ingrained in culture. And I
Like
think,
travel riders.
or just people who have been riding for a long time and know a lot. And it can be intimidating to walk in where, unfortunately, in a lot of bike shops, there's a culture of sort of like, oh, well, you don't know about that? Oh, well, that's like, and like very condescending towards people.
Yeah.
And we want to definitely not be that. We want to be a space for people to really feel comfortable and learn about bikes and kind of start their journey here and continue it.
Yeah, I remember growing up. I mean, every kid except probably you. You're probably the only person I know. Like, oh, let's go on a bike ride. It's like I don't know how to ride a bike.
I don't want to.
Yeah, she's never rode a bike. She's not. Yeah,
My cousin broke my training wheels and that was done.
that was it for you.
Yeah.
But everyone got a bike. Like every bike I can remember growing up in Monte City, everyone had mountain bikes because you could take them in the woods.
Yeah.
You can drive them around town.
Yep.
And then the trick bikes got popular. And they were too expensive for my family, so I never got trick bikes. So everyone would build these ramps, or we'd find these dirt mounds in town, and be like, "We're gonna jump off the dirt mound," and then I'm there with like a Huffy 18 speeder, 800-pound bike, trying to do
Bending it
jumps,
in half.
just crushing the rim.
I just wanted to know. Everyone was like flipping over and getting road rash, and I didn't want any parts of that.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah, I one funny bike story. So in Monte City, we had a really, really big hill, like a hill, and then you would come down, go into this one park, and we hit like it was a jump we built. It was
Right.
like 8-year-olds were building like it was
Super sketchy.
Yeah, terrible idea. And it went over like a little creek because in our head you were jumping Grand Canyon, right? Okay. So
It was
I'm
like a 2-liter bottle spilled.
I'm hauling ass down this hill and I'm pedaling, and I'm getting right to the point where I'm like, all right, I need to get my jump ready. And I go to do one more quick pedal and I can't pedal. And I look down and my shoelace has come undone and I am completely wrapped around the spot, like the pedal. Like my foot is attached to my bike and I'm
Sounds terrible.
less than seconds away from as fast as I could possibly pedal, about to be in midair and just have a panic attack and decide I'm going to bail on my bike. Like I'm just going to let
But
the
you're
bike,
attached.
but I'm attached. So I let go in air and the bike just lands on top of me. I'm a kid. I'm bleeding. My chest, I knocked all the wind out of myself because I'm 38 pounds soaking wet. I was a tiny kid.
dying.
My bike weighs more than me. I'm just like, I can't scream for help because I'm doing that whole. Everyone's like, that was awesome. I'm like, and someone's like, I think he's dead. Yeah, but yeah, they were the good moments, and it's funny because I think when people when they think of bike shops and like, oh, you're grown and you ride a bike, I think a lot of people correlate like when you get to a certain
Out
age,
here.
you shouldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Out here, and that's not the case. And like I said, there's bikes for kids that can do trick stuff. There's there's bikes that are just made for gravel.
Yep.
There's cool mountain bikes. Like I didn't realize how many different bikes were made. And then like another cool thing, like bikes that were really, really popular, then their branding kind of went away. Like it wasn't Mongoose like one of the biggest bikes at one time, and now they're like more of a smaller brand.
I mean, they were always sort of smaller, but depending on the crowds you run in, like a certain bike can become cool.
Yeah.
So,
Like that
as a
was the
kid,
bike of the
like,
day.
Yeah, a Mongoose can be like this cool thing, but it was never necessarily that. Like it had a time in like the late 80s where they
Yeah.
were sweet. But then I think it just sort of carried over and they weren't so sweet, but they were sweet.
Yeah. Everyone's like, you have a Huffy, bro? I'm rocking a Mongoose. I'm like, shut up, man.
And
I got
that's
a
just kid stuff
Kmart.
too.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
there's always something like the shirt you're wearing or the bike you have.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's always
Always.
something.
That was the story of my life. I always had the worst gear. Yeah. It's like, you get your clothes and your bike at Kmart? Scumbag. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm too young not to work.
I don't make these choices.
That's what my dad bought me. Then I come home with another bent rim. My dad's like, you're never getting a bike ever again. You better figure something out. Scooters then got popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very hard to bend a rim on a
Yeah.
scooter. But
Break a wheel, but
yeah, that's about it. And then they got wheelie bars. game changer. You just literally could just the stupidest thing ever. But yeah, so what is the overall goal? I'm sorry, we're just telling
No, you're
stupid
good.
stories. But what's the overall goal with this business, and what are you trying to accomplish, and like what can people come in here and expect once this is all open?
Yeah, so we started the bike shop really for one, because there wasn't a bike shop anywhere close. The closest ones are in Tamaqua and Shoemakersville.
Yeah.
And it seems crazy to me that Pottsville, the county seat of Schuylkill County, doesn't have a bike shop. And so I had worked in bike shops in Oregon. I ran a shop in Portland for a while, and moved back here. And really moved back here because I was excited about the revitalization effort that was going on. And this was all pre-pandemic, so like it was all, things were going well. The city was coming back. Felt like there was the start of something cool. And then I get here and like a week later, lockdown happens.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. Well, this isn't what I expected. And so the plans kind of went on hold for a bit. And then as we're sort of coming out of it now, like a year later, things are starting to loosen up. We're all getting vaccinated. It just seemed like the right time to start and do this thing for real. Yeah. And like I was saying earlier, there's all these people that ride, and creating that community is really one of the most important things. Is when I was riding bikes out here, I was one of those people that was like, I'm the only one that rides a bike in this county. This sucks. This is the worst place for bikers. And now that I'm trying to get more involved in the community, I'm meeting all these people who feel the same way. And I'm like, well, yeah, clearly there are these people and they exist. We just need to bring them together. And so that's one of the main missions, is just creating that community and trying to bring people together. And then beyond that is just creating a space where people can get their bike fixed so they don't have to drive an hour. They can come local and know that there's somebody who hopefully is friendly. I think I'm friendly.
Yeah.
Hopefully people feel like that. And can just come and feel like this is a place where they can hang out and learn about bikes, and just get their bike fixed and kind of be that friendly community bike shop.
Are you going to be in the market at all to be buying bikes off people? Like, can this could be a secondhand bike shop? Like,
So we might do some consignment. That there'll be kind of a lot of stipulations attached to, but in terms of buying a bike outright, I've typically been pretty against that. I think even though there's not necessarily a big culture of that here, in a lot of cities, it encourages people to steal bikes to then make a little cash.
Yeah.
Where if they know they can
I
come
never
and
even
sell
thought
their
of
bike at a bike shop for $20 or something, it encourages people. It gives them a motivation to steal a bike.
Yeah.
Because then if they're desperate, then they can get a little bit of money. And so I'm not a big fan of that, just because it can create that. But consignment, I'm open to, because then the person's locked in. And
I was thinking of like someone who has like these old like 50, 60 styles bikes sitting in their basement, and they're like, no one's ever going to buy that. And now they see a bike shop in town. They're like, I wonder if this could be restored, or if I can bring it back to life a little bit,
And I think they should bring it in and we can have that conversation, because some of those bikes aren't worth it.
Yeah.
The labor and time and money they're going to put into it, it's worth more. It's not worth the cost that it would be for me to fix it.
Yeah.
But there are some gems out there, like I said, there was a bike boom in the 70s. And so a lot of those bikes that got bought have been sitting in the basements for 50 years now. And
my bike's
Some of my
probably,
value.
if my house didn't burn down, my old bike would be sitting in the basement with just a square front rim and a Gears Iced Tea container shoved in the back tire to make it sound cooler. Were you one of those kids?
baseball card.
Baseball, the baseball part
Yeah.
in the spoke. But we learned if you took the Gears Iced Tea and stepped on it, and then like right where the bike frame meets your back tire,
yeah.
we'd
You let
stuff
it
a Gears
jam
Iced
there.
Tea, and it would be, and it gave like your bike an exhaust sound. When you're 9 years old and you're rolling down the street, you're
Coolest kid in the neighborhood.
Yeah. You do the like thumbs down, the biker, like the actual motorcycle. What's up, bro? Keep wheels
Like
on the
the
ground.
Jeep thing.
Yeah, the Jeep thing. Yeah. So when did biking become big for you?
So I moved to Chicago after I graduated high school. I went to high school at Schuylkill Haven, so I grew up in the area. Not from here originally, but went to high school there, graduated, and then moved to Chicago for college. And while I was there, we had these train passes that would allow us to have free public transit, but it was only during school like hours. And so during the summer or during winter break, I was stuck on my own and I wasn't able to ride the train anymore. And as a broke kid, I was like, well, train's expensive.
Yeah.
It's like a walkable city sort of, but I need a better way to do this. And so I went out and saved up some money and bought a bike and didn't know anything and just started riding around. And then went into a bike shop to get it fixed. It was crazy expensive. Which just because I was broke, it actually wasn't that expensive.
Yeah.
But I was broke, so anything was expensive to
Everything,
me. And so I was like, well, I can fix this. I'll learn. And so I started learning how to fix my bike. And then I started working with a bike messenger like company delivering food.
Oh, that's
and so I learned a lot from those dudes who had already known a lot more. And then when I moved back from Chicago for a little while, I moved out here again, back to Pennsylvania, and the bike that I had was a single speed, which I couldn't really use here because there's just hills everywhere.
Yeah.
And so I bought an old 10 speed and fixed it up and just started fixing bikes in my dad's basement, my parents' basement. And then kind of learned skills on my own that way, and then moved to Oregon. And like a week after being there, went into a bike shop. They were looking for volunteers. Started working there, volunteering every day because I just didn't have a job. I'd moved to a new state, didn't really know what I was doing. And then learned a lot, and then they eventually offered me a job. Ended up being a mechanic for them for a couple of years, and then got an offer to run a shop in Portland.
What is
So that's
the
sort of
mechanic process
the long story.
of fixing up bikes and stuff? Like, what are some things you look for or to do? Because I wouldn't like, you can look for like a frame damage or rim or chain.
Yeah, so I mean, the basic stuff is you want to make sure that nothing's loose. So like you check all the spots that roll. So like the hubs on the insides of the wheels, the bottom bracket where the pedal's attached to the crank, anything that spins, you want to make sure it's not loose. Because if it is, then it starts to rattle and grind, and then it degrades over time, and it eventually chews itself to pieces. And so if you want your bike to last, you need to make sure that stuff stays together correctly. So that, and then like chain wear, make sure the brakes work, the shifting works, make sure that, there's no damage to the frame. That's like the simple stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously the more expensive the bike gets, the more complicated everything gets, because
What is a typical repair that a lot of people who like the people who do the cross, like the big rides and the some rides, and they like, what are some normal things that they look into?
what do you mean?
Like repair wise, like when there's I get my bike, like my dad says I get my bike tuned up, or I have to go,
So a basic tune is like a brake adjustment, shifting adjustment, and then like I said, checking all those rolling parts and getting them back to the correct like tightness.
the first time I ever had a bike that didn't when you didn't pedal backwards for it to brake, you had to do the hand. That was an adjustment. And then you're a kid pedaling backwards, and you're like, "This is the coolest thing ever." Was bike riding like growing up a big thing in School Haven?
It really wasn't. It was one of those things that I picked up definitely as an adult, like my 19, 20 when I was in Chicago. That was really where it started. I mean, I had a bike as a kid. I feel like everybody's had a bike as a kid.
We had little bike gangs. Like,
I lived on a farm, so we didn't have any bike gangs. It would have just been me.
you don't see kids out in groups like riding bikes anymore.
Yeah,
It's kind of a shame.
yeah. They're all just playing Fortnite.
Or I mean, you might see
They're like glued to their
you might see one or two kids walking on the street, and the one's like on a scooter. I think that's the most you ever
rare,
see.
Yeah. They're all on their phones. We didn't have phones.
Imagine if you had a phone and a bike. Like, your world would be amazing.
You'd be trying to
Dad, I know you're winning on my side. I'm up at the Eastern Park.
You'd be
I'm
trying to ride your
bleeding.
bike while you're on your phone.
Another stupid thing. Remember, like CD players? You got like, and you're like, I'm gonna put my CD player in my pocket and go ride around on my bike, and like
That's
it's
something
skipped
a bad
the
idea.
whole time. You're just like, this is a waste of time. I can't even listen to music, and because everything, like every sidewalk in town is. Yeah, and you couldn't even and then biking thing, like you couldn't be on sidewalks and you couldn't be on roads, and so it's a thing. I would say culturally in this area has something that I would say older generations kind of shunned kids for being bike riders.
There's definitely I'm fighting against some stuff here.
Yeah, like don't ride no bikes on the sidewalks. Don't be in the street in a bike. And it's just like, well, you're kind of killing an industry.
But you want them to go outside.
Yeah. Like playgrounds. They're like, oh, we don't have kids at playgrounds anymore because you're terrifying every kid that he's gonna get kidnapped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't send my kid to the park. Like, I was 8 years old walking around Monty City and no one cared. Like, if they kidnapped me, they'd give me right back. Like,
For
I would. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's strange. It's a thing that like you're saying now. It's getting more popular as you get older. And it should be inclusive for everybody.
That's one of the things that the shop I worked at in Portland did is they worked with kids who were at risk. So like we worked with kids who were homeless or were at risk of being homeless. And we taught them how to fix bikes and make coffee. It was a bike and coffee shop.
Yeah.
And I want to do something like that here over the summer with some of the local kids, not necessarily kids who are at risk, but create a little like mentorship program where we can invite kids in. Because I was doing it there, I developed this whole training program to basically teach somebody how to be a bike mechanic in like 10 weeks.
Yeah.
Not
really cool,
master,
yeah.
but definitely can like go work at a shop. And so the goal would be to get some kids, teach them how to fix bikes, and eventually hire them here. A couple
cool.
kids is
I
kind of the
think
work.
there's not much for kids around here.
Yeah. To keep them busy.
Keep them busy
And then it
out
really
front.
starts that culture of like it is kind of cool. And then they can fix their bike so that if they do bend their rim, they can fix it themselves rather than telling their dad they need a whole new bike.
Yeah.
Because that's the dream is, most of that stuff is fixable. They just don't know how, or there's no place to go to do it, or nowhere, and nobody's going to teach them.
Getting to air your tire was a thing. Like you had to walk to the local gas station, and the guy and I remember it was like a thing. It was like, oh, well, air your tire. You're done. It's over. You're done. Like your bike's over forever. You have a flat tire. It's never gonna work. And then because it was just that was like the mentality because there was no repair. The only thing we knew how to repair is if your chain popped. You would throw your chain back on, and that was the limit. Like if your brakes went, like well now my bike doesn't have brakes. And we just keep it moving.
I feel like a lot of people probably because they don't know that you can fix things and there's nowhere to get them fixed, so they just scrap it and buy a whole new bike.
Yeah,
well, like I was saying earlier, there's nowhere close, so you got to drive an hour in one direction. So we're hoping that this is going to change some of that.
A cool thing too. I'm just trying to I'm reliving my childhood a little bit here, but the. I remember our local police station used to do bike days, and they would down the school parking lot. They would say hey, no parking. They would put cones up, and that you would go through and ride through cones.
They call them bike rodeos.
Yeah, and then they'd be you would bring your bike. They would take your name. They would flip your bike over, write the serial number on your bike. So if your bike got stolen in town,
oh wow,
the police had the record of your serial number on your bike.
That's pretty cool.
Like that was a big thing. Hey, make sure you register your bike with your local police department.
Yep.
So if it's stolen, we have it on file that it's yours.
Cool.
The shop I worked at in Oregon, we would go to those events and do free repairs for all the kids that brought their bikes. So that they would bring them to us. We'd look it over, make sure it's safe, and then they would go and do the little course.
Yeah, they would teach you if you're turning left, turning right, all the signals.
They all got free helmets.
Yep.
Make sure they're safe.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
It's so weird. When I was a kid, I was so against helmets, and now I see kids without helmets. And I'm like, put a helmet on. Yeah. What are you doing?
That's age for you, I think.
So my wife is descending on her bike 2 years ago and got something called a speed wobble, which is essentially where the frame reaches its resonance, and so it starts to vibrate uncontrollably. And she blacked out. She doesn't remember what happened, but she woke up and just laying on the sidewalk, people screaming.
Yikes.
And her helmet, thankfully she was wearing one, but it looked like a shark took a bite out of it.
Really?
And had she not been wearing it, she would have died.
Yeah.
She got a concussion. She's got scars everywhere. But yeah, so helmets are. Yeah. I know they look a little dorky, but they literally will save your life.
They tried everything.
I never wanted
they tried
to
everything.
do it.
They had the helmets with the mohawks on.
Yeah.
Still not doing it. I don't care if you put the Batman logo on. I'm not wearing that. Yeah.
And are you going to have all everything?
Yep.
That's cool.
We're going to carry all that stuff. So
you would think with kids are sticker in it.
Yeah, nice.
You could really customize your helmet, make it look cool. And what are the things now they do where they dip it in the they do it with car parts and stuff.
Plasti dip?
Yeah, the plastic dips. You can do cool
I don't know.
take your helmet and get I
think you're onto something.
Yeah. I seen it with a lot with prosthetic legs. They'll do the camo and they have this big water tank. They dip it in the tank.
It's like a water decal.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Throw some helmets in there. That'd be
I think that's cool.
It's just trying to brainstorm ideas of just how can we bring this community back for everybody, for kids, adults, parents, maybe saying, hey, now we're getting a trail in the area. I would buy myself a bike and a kid a bike. I think the biggest,
or they don't want to have to drive their kid everywhere. So
yeah,
and I think that's been one of the big things that's come out of the pandemic is a lot of people did go and get outside and start going on these trails because they were afraid to go anywhere else. And so hiking trails and walking trails became a bigger thing. And so I think people are more excited to go and try and do that outside stuff because it feels safe. And I'm hoping that's going to continue. Yeah. Even as
this summer's going to be very interesting to see how it goes because I feel like a lot of people are stir crazy.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't going to bars anymore. I mean, there are still people who are in bars, but a lot of people aren't going to really bars anymore. And they're this summer, instead of planning concerts, hey, I can't make plans to go to events. I can't go to sporting things. I can't do that. So people are planning hey, we could do a walk and then we can go somewhere we can outdoor seating and get something to eat.
Disconnect.
There's going to be ramifications for years, I think, before people really feel comfortable. I think the first time we go to a restaurant that's full, it's going to be really nerve wracking.
I know. I'm already
I'm going to be hugging and kissing everybody.
I get crazy if I go to the store. I'm just
oh, the first time they're no. Strikers is having a music event and I can go. I'm going to just be
I'm going to put myself in a bubble.
So much. I'll be hugging everybody.
I'll be in the corner, even worse than I normally am.
Yeah. Every time there's a music thing, why don't you bring your wife? You just never bring her. I'm she hates this.
I don't.
She's actually here. She's in the corner. You just see her.
And when I do go, that's where I'm in the corner.
And then she comes over 13 minutes later, she's like, can we leave? And I was no.
Are we done yet?
No. You're stuck here.
They haven't even played one song.
Yeah. But it is cool because, like I said, there's you're here, then you have the brewery up the street. You have right across the street is Press Coffee. Love them, and they do a lot of cool like music stuff, or and it's a place to sit,
really
read a
cool.
book, and
we need more local, like small things, like nice things, not just bars.
Yeah, I think there's got to be this. I think a lot of people are. The pandemic didn't help, but I think a lot of people are apprehensive to try and start something on their own, especially in a city like this where there's things happening, but there isn't that critical mass yet. And so I really think that people just need to be a little braver and just try stuff.
Yeah.
Because I think, in a couple of years, there's going to be, 5-6 more businesses open. And then there's going to be people that wanted to do something. They're like, well, now I can't afford it. Now all the storefronts are taken. And
get it while you can.
Yeah, there's this push and there's this momentum that's building. You just got to be brave enough to try.
What was the process for you going into that? So obviously you're friends with a lot of the people who are really, really the big force and drive with Bobby and Abby.
Yep.
But how does someone who's maybe not a part of your friend group or your group of people contact them, or what are some steps you can even say of how about finding a good business front?
Sure.
Finding a
there's
business
literally
plan.
an organization in Pottsville called PADCO, the Pottsville Area Development Corporation, I think is what it stands for. And that's literally what they're for. It's all these business leaders and people like attorneys and lawyers to help with all that stuff that have come forward and said, we want to help, reach out to us.
Yeah.
And so I would say that's the best spot for these people.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that.
What they do is you kind of correct me if I'm wrong. What you kind of go there and you pitch to them what your business idea is.
Well, so they had, before the pandemic hit, they had a program that was essentially like that. That was like you could create a video and submit a business plan and do all that. But that got put on hold with everything that's happened. So that should be coming back. But yeah, I'm not really sure what their plans are going forward. Obviously, the pandemic's affected a lot of
Does the
things.
PADCO have like a social media page or something they can reach out
They
to?
have a website.
Or a website? Okay,
Yeah.
Cool. I could be wrong, but I remember
it's
some
downtownpottsville.com.
Yeah,
Something like that.
Somebody was telling me that you would submit a business plan, and you didn't have to be someone who didn't have a lot of money, or you would be like, hey, I have this idea. I think it'd be awesome for downtown Pottsville. This is my plan. This is what I would do to do that. And then they would look at your idea and be like, okay, well, you don't have much business experience and stuff. This is what we would do to help you. And if we think it's kind of like Pottsville Shark Tank, and if we think your idea is good, we will help fund and get you started. And I think that's good that more people in the area who, I don't want to like say, when I say this, I'm not being negative, but they hold more of the chips, like they're doing very well. They're established, they're business owners, but they also know if more business comes in their area, it's only going to then help them.
Yeah.
So
we all want to see Pottsville do better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I kind of hope it creates there is a little rivalry, like, oh, you're from this side of the mountain and that side of the mountain.
Yeah.
Or like, it sucks that Pottsville gets everything. Well,
I hope it like transfers over to everybody
there's
else.
people who are proud to be in Pottsville.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, if Pottsville's doing it, we want to add to that and do it. So hopefully it sparks. I know Shenandoah's doing a big thing with their revitalization of their town. They're trying to do a lot. I hope that sparks more interest in
And
other
that's
towns.
great.
Yeah.
The more business there is there, the better it is for everybody.
Yeah.
Like there is a lot of like town tribalism in this area.
Yeah.
For sure. Where people are like, even just cross the mountain. It's crazy.
I didn't really start experiencing Pottsville until like 5 years ago. And then I started coming over here and I met a buddy and he's in a band. And then it was like, I was in Pottsville the whole time. And I was like, I didn't know half these businesses and things existed.
And I love the small businesses. Like I'd rather do that than go to like the mall. Like I love the little shops, just seeing what everybody has and all the different stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's just so,
And it sucks because a lot of them are now gone.
yeah.
You know?
Like I wish. Yeah. I hope this like starts a thing and people start doing it more.
We used to walk
because
around and go to
people-
like 3 or 4 of the thrift shops and go to like the bakeries, and then before Press there used to be Sage. I used to like you go to Sage, or like, and then it's just like it was a good time. Like you can make a day in downtown Pottsville just going to local business, and I can't wait for that to grow even more so, and then going back to it.
Yeah. Because that's the thing too is, we all live here. And so like we want to see the city get better because it's where we live. And
Right.
like we want the place we live to be cool. And so we're going to try and do stuff to make it better.
There's so many
it's easy to
tricks.
sit around and say like, oh, this place sucks. I hate it here. Then do something to make it better.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't be a
or
part of the
move.
problem.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like
or
me
move,
being
yeah.
like antagonistic here, but it's like,
It's the truth.
like,
but you're right.
There's
like,
small stuff you can do. You don't
Yeah.
have to start a business, but like you could just shop
Support.
local. Yeah.
Support the
or
businesses, yeah.
not be, negative to everybody that's trying to do something, because that's another thing.
yeah.
that sucks.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you think you're gonna shut up. Go away. Like
If you
I'm trying to
nothing
make your
nice
life
to say,
better.
Don't say anything at all.
that's why I started the podcast. It's just like, well, why? I'm like, I'm proud to be a part of School County. Like, I hear the School County, and I'm proud to be a part of it. Like, I love it. When I hear 570, I get excited. That's me. So when I can meet a business owner or someone who's going to be doing something cool like this in the area, it excites me. And then like just literally sitting here, I'm like, man, how awesome to be like local business. And there's a bike rack that you can put your bike into again.
Yeah.
Like those small things, like visual things, like
Yep.
that's a thing again. Like I'd be excited
Starts
to
to
see.
make the city look more alive.
Yeah, kids riding their bikes to schools.
Yeah.
You know, like all that stuff would be fun to see again. Like it's just, I think like how you're saying, we are very technology. Like technology has killed a lot of cool things, but I think there could be a spot where we turn back and we go back to things that are like your childhood and doing them as adults and bringing some of that stuff back, like parks and playgrounds and riding your bikes. And there's so many trails that people ride, that quads use and all this.
Yeah.
We can turn a lot of that into walking trails.
Yeah, I was just there's even a lot of walking trails that people don't know about.
Yeah.
We have waterfalls in the woods that people
Yeah.
and it's like you can't go there no more. Well, instead of make it safe so people can go to them, you know what I mean? Like there's so much cool stuff in our area to do, and a lot of people own land. They're not being used for coal really anymore. Just this land is just kind of being sat there. Like put some trails in there. A lot of really neat stuff can come through it.
Yeah.
I was always, my dream is like if I lived in Monte City and we get to a point where all these local towns have these cool shops and we have literally our whole thing is coal and trains. Like, could you imagine taking the train to Pottsville,
Oh my gosh.
going to see a band,
I wish.
having a couple beers, jump back on the train and go back to Monte
It'd be
City?
wild.
That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
It'd be like a 30-minute train ride. It wouldn't even be that bad. It'd be great. No, I mean that's great. That's like the kind of thing you can do in a night and not feel bad about like, oh, I gotta take this 2-hour
Yeah.
train ride home. It's like, no, I take a 30-minute train ride.
Yeah.
I don't have to drive.
Yeah.
Because that's what people are doing now. They're just doing that, except they're driving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's like we don't really have a lot of public transportation here, and we do like a bus system, but it shuts down at like 6 o'clock.
Yeah,
But
and like I feel like people don't know about it, or they don't know how to like
Or there's
find
like
out
a-
about it.
You're like looked down on for using the bus.
Yeah.
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 Or it doesn't take you where it needs,
Yeah.
where you need to be and stuff like that.
Like I said, we have train tracks everywhere,
Yeah.
and they all connect to
I
each
wish
town.
I wish I would.
But everyone's like, I'd love to go to Jim Thorpe and ride the train. Well, push it for your own community. Like,
We got train tracks.
yeah. Like everyone's like, oh, we love downtown Jim Thorpe. Well, that's because that town has taken pride in what they do. They
Yeah.
keep their streets clean. Like people are all on board. They're all like-minded. And now it's a tourist destination.
Yeah.
Every town in School County can be
Yeah.
that.
And I think Pottsville has the potential to
Yeah.
be that and maybe even be better.
Yeah.
It's going to take a long time. You know, it's not going to happen in a year, but I think we're on the
the
track.
right track.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
hopefully
exciting.
it'll start it for the local other towns.
Yeah, it'd be so
surrounding
cool.
towns.
Like I wish every town could be like Jim Thorpe, and I love going to Jim Thorpe. But like people are like, oh, the old theater, the old jail where you can take a tour. Like every town has something like that, but
Right.
it's just kind of not being used. And it's exciting. I really enjoy what the downtown Pottsville Revitalization is doing, and I hope it gives everyone else a rub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just a tiny part. Like
Yeah.
I'm just trying to start a bike shop and
Yeah,
Well,
but
yeah.
you're brave enough to do it, and you're the one putting
Yeah.
yourself out there to do it, and I'm excited. Like just the fact that we were talking before, like seeing a bike lane in Pottsville, or seeing like you can like people riding bikes, and it's a more common thing. Like it's exciting,
Yeah.
and this is what's getting the wheel turning. I
Yeah,
guess.
I think if we can start getting, once we open it, we can start getting some like group rides out of here. Having the community see like a group of 5 or 6 guys and girls
Right.
on bikes, it's like, oh, that is a thing you can do. Because like I ride on all the roads because legally I can, but I get people shouting at me, telling me to get off the road. It's like,
The real
I don't know where I'm supposed to ride then.
Yeah.
That would be the biggest obstacle, is getting people to understand. Like there's cities who have figured
Yep.
that out.
Well, where people are accustomed to it. And I really think it's just seeing it.
Right.
Because, in Pottsville, there's like 2 or 3 guys that are riding around on a bike. And so if you're a driver, you almost never see it. And so it's weird when you see one. But if we can get to the point where people are coming in and out of here on bikes, people start to see it more. And then it starts to get in their brain. They're like, oh, bikes are around. Bikes are a thing. And it starts to break down that like,
They learn the rules.
Yeah.
Where people are like, oh, okay, it's a crazy thing to even think about, but like crosswalks in our area didn't become a thing until like 5 years ago.
people
It's,
just,
people don't
Yeah.
even.
Yeah.
care.
It was just instead of a crosswalk, that's where you inched your car up as quick as much as possible. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And I think that the local police did a good job of like not so much going crazy, because what you can have too is like 100 tickets, and then everyone's like,
yeah.
well, I hate the bikers now because everyone's getting ticket because they're in a bike lane. It's like, no, maybe you have to do a few where you're egregious, but more and more it's like, hey, just give you a heads up. This is what we're doing. This is it's going to be a part of our thing now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's good for everybody getting more people around.
Yeah, I'm pumped. I think what you have started here is going to be a lot of fun. It's the tune-ups and everything.
Yeah, it's exciting.
What was some of the culture changes from a school county to Chicago to an Oregon?
I mean, it's definitely big. So, it's a small town out here.
That's a quad.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't think
just-
that's legal, right?
So we can't get bikes in town. But
No,
I
but
can
quad,
rent
that's
a quad on Mahantongo Street.
No helmet. No helmets either. None.
None.
No helmets.
Yeah.
Yeah, moving to Chicago was. I had always wanted. I was one of those people that when I left the area, I was like, this place sucks, never coming back. Moved to Chicago. Had always wanted to live in a big city, and it was great. I had a blast. I loved Chicago.
Until winter.
Winter was not great.
Oh.
But the thing is, when you move places, you kind of get used to it quickly, and it becomes it just becomes part of every day. But Chicago kind of became too much. There's just too much to do, too much to see. I kind of wanted to try something a little different. So I moved back, came out, was living with my parents, living on a farm again, trying to slow things down. And then didn't really have a lot of opportunities to do the things I wanted to do out here because there just aren't a lot of jobs right now. And, it's getting better, but it's still a little rough. And so picked up and moved to Oregon, and then started pursuing the bike thing out there.
Yeah.
But
I
mean, Oregon is
beautiful.
Portland is a trip.
Like everything you see in Oregon, it just looks like it's the most beautiful place on earth.
It is. And there's Portland gets you acclimated to some weird stuff. Like there was this time where I was walking downtown and I literally saw a guy with a cape and a top hat on a unicycle carrying a pizza. And you're just you just don't even bat an eye. You're just like, yeah, whatever. I mean, that's just Portland. You just get used to this weird
need to be
stuff
there.
where
I
there's
feel
just
But Schuylkill County is kind of like that. You see some weird stuff. Like I saw a guy with an iguana on his back on a leash in Shenandoah. It's Schuylkill
You see a lot of
County's
stuff.
unique.
You see a lot of stuff. Just take a trip to Walmart at 3 a.m. I can't wait for that to come back. You can't even be in Walmart past certain times now, right?
Yeah, they close it.
They
I
have it
think
locked
they
down.
only open
Unless
like
it's still-
7 to 9
Dude,
or something. I don't know.
It's been like 2 years. I haven't been in public places really where I don't even know.
I panic.
I don't know rules.
I try to avoid it. I panic.
I walk into a gas station, people look at me
people
like,
just seem
you're wearing
meaner.
a mask? What's wrong
Yeah,
with you?
people just seem a lot meaner. Before they didn't care either, but now it's just they just don't see.
Political climate maybe did that a little bit where everyone's out to get everybody.
Yeah.
The government's.
They just don't
Yeah.
see each other and just want to walk right through you. And
Yeah.
It's
I hope that
crazy.
all goes away once people can
we have
start.
become super isolated in the last year. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you might be onto something there.
Yeah. And then
they forget how to be social. Or
being isolated,
polite.
and then just everything is just when you're isolated and you're on the internet and you're on your phone and you're on this, and the algorithms are designed to either make you super happy or super angry, and it's
I've been trying to avoid it because it's just crazy.
yeah.
just gets too much.
It's silly, but
Yeah.
So a fun connection here. This is gonna be my cue for. Oh God.
Where'd he go?
Look at that. He's doing an action shot through a spot.
I was going through the book. Sorry.
All right, so we're gonna try to maybe cue Nikolai here to put his camera down. Come sit down. So one of the connections here is you guys used to I was there, but I don't remember you.
You didn't actually work.
I worked there. I was there for like 15 minutes. I think I did like 3 things, but it was
Yeah.
more of a hangout spot for me. But
Definitely.
you're part of a group that means a lot to us.
It does.
It does.
Strangely,
it does. You're kind of part of a fan. Like I didn't realize this until we started talking, and then knowing that you were part of this, and it's still a huge deal to us with our group of friends. Like you're part of the FYE family.
Yeah. Started there in 2006.
Yeah.
Fresh-faced 16-year-old.
Wow.
It's crazy. I actually, so I applied to the Fairlane Mall, FY. So we had 2, Fairlane
Yep.
and
Oh
Frackville.
my God, I don't even remember that.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm an OG.
Yeah, I don't remember one in Fairlane at all.
Yeah. So I applied there, and then they needed somebody at the one in Frackville, and I was living in Schuylkill Haven, and so it's like way further to drive.
Right.
But I was like, I don't know, Frackville's a way cooler store. 16-year-old me is like, I'm gonna work there, even though it's like an extra 20-minute drive. Yeah. So I started there in 2006.
Who are some of the people you started with?
I worked with a guy named Josh Coulet. I think that's his last name. He was the store manager. There was another Josh who I can only remember as Josh 2. Josh 1 and Josh 2. There was a guy named Jeff and a girl named Mary who ended up
God, I
working
don't
at
know
the
any
shoe
of them.
store
Yeah.
across the way that I worked with there. So not only did I work at FYE, but I also worked at Shoe Department. I worked at Brackney Leather.
I worked at Brackney Leather.
I was like all over that Brackville Mall.
Yeah, I did Bosco.
The only
or
not white
Bonton.
girl selling Confederate flag stuff to people.
I remember a guy came in yelling about it once, and I was like,
She came on. She goes, "What's the big deal with this Confederate flag?" I'm like, "Oh,
like this guy came flipping out. I thought he was gonna beat up the owner. I was like, well, I worked at Sears, Bonton.
I was
Brackney,
FYE for
FYE.
13 minutes. The movie theater,
The old movie.
the old movie theater. That's it. I had 2 jobs. I was a stay. I was a stay at the
You're
movie
just
theater.
hanging out at the mall forever.
If I wasn't hanging out at FYE, I was hanging out at GameStop for just hours upon hours, talking to people who work there, selling games to people as not even as a customer.
Yeah.
Like someone would walk in, they're like, "Oh man, I'm really looking for a movie," and I'd be like, "What are you looking for?" And they're like, "Okay, stranger who just came up and talked to me weirdly," and then we become like best friends.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Every time I would come up from work, and he's like, "I'm at the mall. Just meet me up here."
I'd be there for
always in
4
FYE,
hours just hanging out at the register
just
talking to
hanging
this guy.
out. Yeah.
And they're like, "I came home with a giant movie poster." She's like, "Stop hanging out at the mall." It was like a hangout spot. I loved going there.
That's where it was.
It's our family.
It's crazy. Time Magazine actually came when that mall died and did an interview. And so if you look back in the archives, I got interviewed by Time Magazine about that mall closing.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking.
cool.
Like, I'm official.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I got my name in the records.
it was super heartbreaking, man.
It
Like
was
that was
super
a
sad.
huge thing. Like I don't think we'll ever get. I mean, we have the Pottsville Mall, obviously.
Yeah.
But
Not much.
It's all just like outlets now.
yeah, it was. I remember. I'm not afraid to admit it. The night, like the last thing the mall had was the movie theater, and that was our spot. Like that,
We would literally work at FYE, close, and then go see the 11 o'clock movie.
go have a couple beers, get some food. Like we had a drink.
Did it all the
we had the
time.
Blackwell drink.
Yeah.
At the movie theater, and then that became a family. Like the movie theater became our family. We were really excited, hoping that this would become a theater,
Yeah.
and it unfortunately it didn't. But yeah, the night we're like, this is it. We're closed. This is the last movie you're ever going to see here. You went and seen
Insidious 3.
Insidious by herself.
By myself. There was 2 other people in the theater. I was so excited.
And I'm not even a Star Wars person, but I was like, I think the last movie I'm going to see here is going to be a Star Wars.
You thought it was the last movie to be playing, so you're like, I'm gonna go see this. So
That's
the
what it was.
last movie.
And hers actually was
Hear
15.
what it was.
Hers actually technically was 15 minutes longer, so she's seen the last
Yeah.
movie. But yeah, we left, and I was like walking out.
It was
I was
real
like,
sad.
I'm gonna cry. This is the last time I'm ever gonna be in this mall. And it was
I've said goodbye to that place 4 times.
yeah.
I just kept sucking me back in.
yeah.
But once
Yeah,
you
me too.
finally
I would
said bye,
quit.
it
I was
was.
like, I'm only gonna work one job, and I was like, no.
And then I
go
came
back to the mall.
Then I came back the next day and bought a chair.
Yeah, we bought a chair.
We bought a movie theater chair.
So you never really leave.
Yeah.
You guys have the movie chair.
Yeah.
I have the FYE sign from outside up front. I don't know if you know about that. Yeah, the day that we closed
the
it.
sign?
Yeah, I have it in my
The sound
basement.
system. That's all I took.
Awesome.
Yeah.
The what?
I took the sound system.
Yeah.
Did you? Nice.
Actually, the speakers are right over there. I brought them over in here.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I have 2 of the speakers that came out of the FYE in this store.
It's beautiful.
I mean,
Does
they're
someone
nice
take a
speakers.
ladder?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the rickety ladder my dad has.
We just pick that place clean.
I have some of the
t-shirt
track
wall.
lights.
Down
We have the
t-shirt.
stands. Don't we have the stands? A bunch of
Oh,
TV.
I have a mannequin half.
Oh,
I do too. I have the
But-
top half.
Yeah.
I want.
And now that I have this place, it can finally not be weird because I can put a shirt on it
Yeah.
and it's just not weird to have it in my room. Just this weird chest. I remember when I brought it home, my parents were like, "What is this?" I'm like, "I don't know, but it's sick.
need it.
I don't know what I'm going to use it for, but I love this
Something.
thing."
Well, here's a top secret question, an FYE question. Did you know about the hole in the wall?
Hole in the wall.
The hole
Behind the TV.
Behind the
where the big castle was.
Oh yeah.
Did you ever
where
crawl
the Legos
through
used
it?
to be?
Did you ever crawl through and explore?
I didn't.
I did once, yeah.
And the old McDonald's or whatever
Yep,
break room?
Yep, the
and-
old McDonald's break room that connected to where the Chick-fil-A was.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yep.
I never went in the hall. I was working on the t-shirt
And
wall
then
when
there
you
was
guys were
there was a
playing.
safe back there.
What?
There was a safe back there on
Yep.
the
Yep.
right side.
Yeah. That was we said the one day we were
Yeah,
gonna
the purple castle. It was this weird thing to Narnia.
I actually have the flags. Yeah, I took those too.
It's one of those things that I feel like if someone did a brief stint working at the mall, this would be a little nostalgia thing for you. Sorry, we're not talking about the bike thing at the mall. But who are some obviously you still talk to Nikolai. For us it was Kayla, us,
Brian.
Brian, Kevin, Serena,
Yeah.
Nikolai.
So I worked there on and off from 2006 to 2017. So I was I've seen every different era come through there.
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I was there before Brian, which like to anybody
Crazy to
that's
think
like,
about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to anybody that's like been around FOA, that probably blows their mind.
Yeah.
Because like he started in like 2007 or 2008.
He was
Yeah.
probably at KB Toys.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got recruited.
Yeah.
And it's funny because now you work with the Weavers, and he's up at Bob Weaver's now.
Well, I helped him get that job there.
Yeah.
Because when FOA was closing, I was friends with Bobby, and they're always hiring salesmen. And I was like, hey, Brian, I feel like you'd be good at this thing. Like, as well.
Yeah.
He became
It's
one
like
of their top
pretty low risk.
salesmen. Like,
yeah, and he's killing it.
Yeah.
I saw him the other day, and he's just crushing it.
he's so smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he definitely did more. I just kind of poked him in that direction.
Yeah.
I didn't get him the job.
He's just a personable
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah. And he was always going to do well at that. But yeah.
Do you have any fun FYE stories or experiences you have?
So I don't want to I'm not going to name names, but there was a time where this was like very early on. I'll tell two stories that I thought of at the time. The first one's not as bad. On my first day there, the store manager asked me to vacuum the store. And like, if anybody remembers that store, it was huge.
Yeah.
And I dead to his face was just
vacuuming.
I actually don't know how to vacuum. Like I've never vacuumed before in my life. I don't really know how. And he was like, and so he just vacuumed. Because I just really didn't want to. And I was like, I don't think this is going to last forever. But like, at least today I can pretend I don't know how to vacuum and he'll just do it.
I would just pretend to be busy so that they wouldn't ask me to vacuum.
I don't think that store ever got vacuumed.
It did. I did it a few times.
Definitely
It
did.
did.
did?
Yeah.
I did a ton.
Yeah, I did it a few times.
Never.
But like, I would try to be busy
It
with
was
something
miserable.
else.
Because you had to move the cord like 6 different times.
Yep.
It was
Find a new spot to plug
Yeah.
it in.
Listen, I would much rather do that than the t-shirt wall.
No, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
See, I
Yeah.
actually like doing the t-shirt wall.
I did it one time on that rickety ladder with Kayla, and came in the next day and like,
Oh, you guys were changing the things. Yeah.
So
they
they're
were
like,
all wrong.
by the way,
Yeah, doing
Kayla
planner.
had the wrong paper.
Wrong planner last month.
Yeah.
And I was like, Kayla's like, I fucking hate you.
That was the worst when you ended the planner and like you couldn't find the stuff that you needed.
I love doing planner. Like that
The
stuff
planner
is
was
my
good.
jam.
When you
Yeah.
could find everything. But I remember the one time Kayla and I were just stuck and we couldn't, none of the stuff was there. And we were like, we can't do this.
I worked at the Chicago FYE. So I worked at also 11 different FYEs, which is
Wow.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know. I have been around, man.
That's crazy.
I could tell stories about that company. Anyway, not gonna go there. But I've like seen some stuff. Man, it was wild. Actually, at the Chicago FYE, the store manager was really good friends with R. Kelly. They just like knew him, and so
That
on
aged
her,
well.
on her birthday, he came in with a cake singing to her.
Oh
and so
my
like
gosh.
I'm just this dude behind the counter, and freaking R. Kelly walks in singing to my store manager.
How old was she?
wild. Like his age. Okay. No, she was like his age. For sure. It was crazy. But no.
insane.
So the other story, again, not going to name the person, but it was early on in my time before Brian, before anybody else like that. And
I thought you were going to say this one story.
no. A store manager came, and the manager on duty was in the break room and had a portable DVD player and was watching an adult film on his break and got caught. And the way that I don't know if this is true or not, but the way I remember the story is he also had his pants down.
Oh,
And so like that was pretty rough. That was one of the worst things.
Yeah.
And I'm just like out in the front by myself, just like not knowing that that's going on.
I think if you would have done that towards the end of the stage at FYE, it just would have became a joke.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even have gotten.
no one even cared.
I think it's impossible to get fired from FYE
Yeah.
towards the end. Impossible.
Over here, maybe.
Yeah, at ours,
Because
for sure.
people would be stealing stuff and we'd chase them down. You can't.
You're not supposed to do
Brian
that,
chased
yeah.
the guy all the way past
Kev,
Cracker Barrel.
really,
Yeah.
Kev like
So,
a kid and
I
like
caught a guy who worked at the Annie Ann's across the way. So like when you're working at FYE and you look straight across, you can see like Arby's and Annie Ann's.
Yeah, yeah.
Annie Ann's is on the left. And I walked back to where the adult films were, and he had one broken open and had was trying to steal it, had the disc out. He's like sitting on the ground with his legs splayed in his Annie Ann's uniform.
Oh my
And he's got the disc in his hand, and I walk over and he throws it. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, I just wanted to see what the disc looked like. And I'm like, no, you're clearly stealing.
oh my god.
And so I just walked across the hallway and told his manager, I was like, hey, you guys trying to steal some porn. What is happening? Because I didn't want to have to look at that guy every day and just be like, I know that that's the dude who tried to steal porn.
Or just stare him down
I was
all
like,
day.
he needs to go.
What was the weirdest part about the fact that he was stealing porn, or what type of genre porn was it?
Well, all of the stuff there was like soft core, so it was mostly, I don't.
It wasn't like nun porn. You're like, you're the nun porn guy.
I don't know. It was awful.
Are you aware of the Frankenweenie story?
Oh yeah, so I was.
Oh,
that was the first time I became the assistant manager temporarily.
So there's a gentleman. We'll just say his name is Miles. And is it a real name or not? We'll find out. We won't say his last name. But Miles was opening the store one day.
Because I got the call.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And
Because Brian was having a baby at the time, right?
Yeah. So the store manager called. Well, anyway, I won't interrupt.
he was opening the store, and what you would do is you'd open the gate like a quarter of the way, you'd crawl underneath, get the store ready, and you'd kind of leave it like that for the next person to kind of come in. And he, I guess, wanted to show his strength that day and wanted to fire the gate up.
Yeah, he did it every time.
And when he fired the gate up, it had a little hook.
It has a handle that you turn sideways to lock it. And so it was pointed up because it was unlocked.
And somehow that got through his pants and cut his penis from the base to the tip.
I think this is a mortifying story, but we're all
it's
funny.
So if you need a visual, you ever put like a hot dog in the microwave and it splits? So now you're getting a phone call saying.
So I got a phone call from the district manager.
Yeah.
That's like, hey, this dude just ripped his dick off. I need you to come into work. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
It's hilarious.
Like,
that you
how
picked
did he do that? What?
people are going to listen back and they'll be like, you picked a vacuum store over this?
Is this the one that you
blocked
didn't
out.
want to tell us?
Yeah.
Then
so
I became assistant manager for like a few weeks, which was, yeah.
the funny thing is the person who this is, he was the type of person that, not like you didn't feel bad, but it then became the joke.
I thought
You
it
know
was
what
a
I mean?
joke
Like,
for real.
yeah.
Yeah. I didn't believe it. I was like, that's such a weird thing.
I made him draw a picture of what it now
I'm
looks
pretty
like.
sure I asked to see it, but I was like, no, never mind. No.
He probably pulled it out right in the store and showed it. Because that was just FYE at that point. But yeah, and he was very proud of it. He was like, yeah, I did it. He's like he told him telling the story. He's like, he went in the back and he just put his hand down and he pulled out
A handful of blood.
And it was just a handful of blood. He's
Yeah.
like, I'm dead. I'm like, what do I do at this point?
That game was like kind of heavy though.
Yeah.
Like,
Every time
you
I
don't
open
think
it,
it's gonna be, and then you're just yeah.
And the best part is, if you know the district manager without saying who it is, you can't imagine him in that kind of situation at all.
I'm telling you what it is. Yeah, so that was a story there. For me at the movie theater, I worked the one time we had a really bad snowstorm. And it was like a blizzard, and all the truck drivers were stuck because the interstate was closed. So I got a ride up from my dad, and I wasn't a great employee. I was a high school kid, or fresh out of high school or around that time, and I wasn't cleaning bathrooms.
Like you're supposed
if
to
it was
be.
puke or piss or poop, or if it smelled bad, I have a weak stomach. Can't do it. I'm never gonna do it. And I told him straight up, I'm like, I will clean theaters. I'll sweep popcorn. If you send me to a bathroom and someone destroyed it, I'm not touching it. Like, I'll quit right then and there. So when it was my turn, or the days I was an usher, I would come in and I would just write my initials straight down the block for bathroom checks. I would go in
Line through it.
Yep. I would go in if there was tissue on the floor, I would sweep it up. I would change the trash bag and I'd get out of there. That was the limit of what I did in the bathroom. So blizzard, barely anyone's there, just kind of going through the motions, and go in the bathroom, didn't notice anything, come out and just kind of hanging out at the front there, and guy comes out and he goes, "Hey, you got a issue in your bathroom?" And I go, "What?" And he goes, "I think there's a guy dead in there." And I went, "No." Sure enough, he was dead. I guess he went in the bathroom and sat down, and I guess either had a heart attack or something, and he was a truck driver from out of the state, and he died in the bathroom. And then
Yeah.
my boss came up and he's like, well, the coroner comes in, they take him out, the whole nine, and my boss is like, well, how long was he
did
in
the
there?
checks?
Was he in there for? And they're like, it was probably over an hour.
During that time, you cleaned the bathroom.
And he looked right at me and goes, well, weren't you doing bathroom checks? And I went, you got me. Like, you got me. But that became like legend because then people start saying the movie theater was haunted, and
Yeah.
and they're like, the rumor is a guy died. Like, oh, he 100% did.
Definitely that.
I was
Yeah,
there.
the
I
new
would-
movie theater people were like, "There's definitely someone." There's like a little girl up there. They used to tell us all these ghost stories.
Yeah, and they're like, the one theater.
We're like, "No, someone really did die."
Because I remember I went in the theater, they told me the story, and we were after work hours, and I'm like, what theater do you think is haunted? And they literally like showed me, and they're like, this row of seats always moves and stuff. And I was like, interesting. So we went in, and I was kind of like mapping out my head, and I was like, fun fact, that row of seats is pretty much to a T exactly where the men's bathroom would have been. And they're like,
Right, remodeled.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, well, how do you know he actually died? Like, I worked that day.
I probably could have helped
I could
him
have
not
found
be
him an
dead.
hour earlier.
In my defense, I think he was sitting down.
Sure.
And then eventually fell off, and that's when they found him because he fell to the floor. It's not funny a man died, but it's just funny my incompetence and that was one of my craziest stories. I still think finding a guy with his penis split from a gate is a lot funnier, but yeah, but yeah, the FYE, but yeah, that's kind of been like a family thing for us. Like we've went on vacations together, we hang out with each other, and we've attempted a vacation together. That wasn't. I mean, you take people
But we're
from
all
FYE.
still friends.
Yeah, we're all still friends.
Yeah.
Anyone else would not be friends after that vacation.
No.
Yeah, but we're the FYE family, and we go through.
We were gonna get tattoos, but we never followed through.
They were going to be tramp stamps of the FYE logo with the wings.
Yeah,
It's sold now.
yeah,
I actually did a mock-up in
Yeah.
Photoshop.
He's out.
yeah. I've been trying to get Kevin to get any type of tattoo.
Yeah.
He's not budging. He left me at the altar, would say, at a tattoo convention in Atlantic City. Me, Brian, and Miles, or maybe his name is Miles, went to like Atlantic City for the weekend.
Like a
and,
boys' weekend.
Like a boys' weekend. And I suck at gambling, and I'm uncomfortable. If I lose $20, I'm like, that's my hour of work plus a couple more dollars. I can't.
Another couple hours.
Yeah.
Couple hours.
So I need to not spend any more. And I'm like, so we found a tattoo convention, and I'm like, Kevin, Notre Dame just won that day, and we're drunk, and I'm like, let's get Notre Dame tattoos.
Like little.
And Kev's
clovers.
like, I'm in. So we go in, and Kev's like, we get the price, we get everything. The guy's like, you're gonna go first, and I was like, all right. And Kev's like, I'm gonna go get the money, I'll be back. And I was like, he ain't coming back. So, and I looked at the guy, I'm like, can you draw Batman? So I got a Batman tattoo. And Kevin come back and goes, thought you were getting a shamrock. I said, no. He goes, why? I said, because I knew you weren't getting tattooed. He goes, fucking ain't right, I wasn't. So he left me in a tattoo convention.
At the altar.
He left me at the altar. And that was the same weekend too. We the same thing. This girl comes out of the room, very, very pretty girl, and she has a basket. She's like, "Can we?" And so we're like, we're heading to the tattoo convention. That's how we learned about it. And she goes, "Can you guys help me carry my stuff in?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not? We'll help you out." So I'm carrying this basket. I'm like, "This is fucking heavy," and I'm carrying this basket. And she's like, "Yeah, I'm like a burlesque dancer. I'm gonna go up and dance on stage." And I was like, and then we just looked at each other. We're like,
Gonna go see that.
we're gonna go see go see her performance. So she gets on stage, and she brings the basket out and she puts it right to the front of the stage, and she goes to then pull the the little blanket that was on top of it, and she pulls it off the thing I was carrying, and it's a huge snake in there. And I hate snakes, and I just was so looking at this pretty girl that I didn't even realize that I was carrying a python in a Wizard of Oz basket. And me and Kevin, we got so far away from that stage. As soon as she pulled it off, like we looked at each other, we're like,
Yeah.
yeah. And I believe that's the same girl who was part of the freak show that was in Pottsville.
Oh, was it?
I think it was Scarlett. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. We met her just randomly. I'm pretty sure that's who it was. I could be wrong though, but
You're probably wrong.
I might be wrong. But yeah, our Fractal Mall stories.
Oy.
Yeah.
You remember was Virgil there when you were there?
Virgil.
Virgil the wrestler, the guy who
remember
like
He
he
was
was
doing
there.
signings in front of Brackney Leather.
Oh,
Or like
He,
what
like,
the
lived
fake thing
there.
was?
But yeah,
He was always like, I'm here with the $1 Million Man.
he's always there randomly.
Yeah.
Or if I do, I don't remember him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So any other
moved around
funny
a lot.
FYE ones?
I don't know. One of the things that always made me laugh about Brackney, not about FYE, but same mall.
Yeah.
I don't ever remember the quote, but like in Star Wars, when they go to the one canteen or whatever, there's never been a greater hive of scum or villainy. Something, I'm butchering the quote.
Yeah.
But when you would go to the back room of Brackney and walk out on the store, it was written above the door frame. So when you would walk into the store, you'd walk underneath that quote. It's like, there's never been a greater.
That
whatever.
store was so bad. It was always cold.
Was that quote there when you were there?
I don't even remember. It was so bad. There was no heat ever. It was freezing.
There's also nothing.
She told me she's gonna start working. I'm like, that is the weirdest store for you to be at.
It was
Yeah,
the-
it was weird.
It wasn't the worst job, but there were many, many days where I would open in the morning, you'd count out the cash drawer, and then you'd close at night, and it was the
Nothing
exact same
happened.
cash.
Yeah.
You're just like,
Nothing all
Who was
I just
day.
sat here.
Who was
for
the guy
8
who
hours.
worked there that was really cool? He was-
Rob.
Rob.
Big time,
Yeah.
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 Rob was cool.
I want to say Katrina worked there at one point.
Everybody's worked there.
And
Alexis worked there.
I remember we were working at FYE, and people were like, "We got to go over and get sized up for assless chaps." 'Cause Katrina's working.
All chaps are assless.
Yes.
Otherwise, they'd be pants.
Yeah, Nikolai.
No, that was the joke
Yeah.
about it. We're like, we're gonna go do this.
Yeah, Art. I used to go like in high school buy belt buckles there.
That literally just popped into my head.
Because
the
I
belt
thought
buckle.
it was so fucking funny. I'd walk around with these huge belt buckles that I get from Brackney
Worst.
Leather.
I had a guy who I made a belt for because that was the other thing we would do. There,
Yeah,
make belts.
yeah.
And he was like a young kid, probably like in his 20s. Walked
Maybe
up.
it's you.
It might have been me. It wasn't you. Because I always fucked up my belt, and I'd be like, "Can you put another hole in this?"
I was making him a belt, and you'd always ask like, "Hey, like, where do you wear your pants?" Because you want to make it so that it
Oh,
fits around
no.
that. And he like pulled him up to like right below his pants, and I was like,
Dude.
"Really?" And he was like, "Yep." He was like 22, and so I just like cinched it around, and he was like, "Tighter." So I made this belt for a guy.
He was like wearing a corset.
Maybe he's always getting pantsed and he's like, not happening today.
They never happen to me again. It's like when you're like, I was like, where do these Confederate flags and these people who think they're from the South, like, where did this? And I'm like, I practically lived there.
That's it.
That was their store.
Yeah.
Like how we're reminiscent about FYE. That was their man. I miss Brackney Leather.
Yeah. They're like, aren't they in Hazleton now?
Yeah, I think they are the Hazelton
I
Mall.
think so.
I believe so. Yeah.
But yeah, I worked at 11 different stores, closed them all.
Wow.
None of them exist anymore.
Yeah, I was
awesome.
at Sears when they
How many
closed
FYEs are
Bonton.
actually going right now? I think.
Well, the
Oh,
company
this-
got sold.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's still FYE, but like,
Yeah.
It tried to become like a toy
There are
store
some,
then
yeah.
eventually.
Actually, when I moved to Oregon, I got a transfer to the store in Salem where I was moving. And then I went there. So I was 27 at the time. Met everybody because I was going to be a manager there, and I just needed a job. And I went out there and met everybody, and the whole staff was like 19. And I just thought to myself, like, are these going to be all my friends? Is this going to be people that I know? And I just never came back. They put me on the schedule, and I just never showed up. They never called. I really don't think they actually wanted me there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah,
Or
I just went to one.
were you aware of the Frankenstein card?
Frankenstein card.
I don't know if that was like that was towards
discount card? That
the
might have been
discount
after.
card where if you needed
Oh,
a discount.
everybody had one.
Yeah. Well, no, we would just use the same one,
Frankenstein.
and it was Frankenstein's.
I don't remember that, but
Yeah, because his name was funny. Because
I remembered it.
yeah. Well, fun fact.
Well, they started giving them out for free at the end.
Yeah. Well, Frankenstein never had to renew
They just
his.
sign each other
He was
up.
just like, I still have that. And they're like, yeah, man. He actually was. He became like a resident person at the movie theater.
Yeah, and we like became friends with them.
And I remember like we were literally at work one day.
Oh,
We're
you're
like, we need 20% off this. We're like, all right, make sure you use cash. Don't use your own card. And we're
Yeah.
like, Frankenstein.
But we would also pay for his subscription.
Yeah.
Like when it would run out. So it was
we would
like,
renew
And
it.
then we're sitting at the movie theater bar and we're talking to this guy. I'm like, yo, you're fucking cool as hell. I'm like, what's your name, man? He goes, Frankenstein. I go, and I think I even said to him like, dude, we
We told him.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, eventually,
He was
once,
totally
the,
cool
once the
about
store
it.
closed, I'm like, you probably were FY's number one customer.
More sales than anybody else.
Because your card was used
For every employee
so
sale.
often. Somebody got us caught once where someone used their
Yeah,
card.
they used their card.
yeah.
Yeah. I remember another fun thing there is people would bring movies in and they'd be like, this movie's only worth like $1. And I'm like, all right. And I'd be like, I'll give you $2.
That was the worst.
Well, then they would come up and they'd be like, well, what movies are you looking for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
And it would always be like the day that they were released.
the day
They
after,
would
they would
come
have
up at
everything.
like,
Yeah.
oh, 10 o'clock as soon as the gate opened.
Yeah.
They'd be like, hey, I have all these brand new movies. Oh, yeah? You didn't steal these?
They'd be like waiting outside the gate.
Yeah.
Remember the cat pee movies?
I hated doing that.
Me and
I hated
Kayla at the
checking
counter. I opened one box and it hit me. And like I said, not good with smells. And it was like a litter box. Like it was still wet, I think, from the cat. And I opened it and I was like, "Ugh," right? And I looked at Kayla like, I'm out. And I just went right to the back.
That was your last
The
day.
one box we opened had a needle in it.
Oh.
I like,
I
great.
hated doing it. I hated checking them. I would try to like get out of it if I could. I hated doing it.
The only way it
out.
was good when you had when like, oh, digital code.
Yeah. Or they're like new movies.
Yeah.
I haven't thought of FYE in years.
Yeah.
I mean, like this. Yeah, it's for me. It's definitely this part of my life that feels like it was so long ago. I kind of forget about it. But yeah, I was there for on
a
and
long
off for
time.
10
That's
years.
crazy.
Yeah, when you messaged me, I was like, oh, I'm gonna do a podcast at the bike shop in Pottsville. Like my buddy Tim hooked me up with it, and he's like, Alan, and I was like, yeah. He's like, oh yeah, I know him from FYE, and I was like,
Yeah, I was really excited. I was like, I can't miss this.
I was like,
It's been a
yeah,
while.
we're
Yeah,
gonna
we
have
don't
fun
remember.
stories. So, do you have your question lined up?
Okay. Were you stabbed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
was
I
like-
met you once, and you told me the story about getting stabbed. And when they were saying, I was like, I don't know if I remember. Then I was like, maybe it's the guy that got stabbed. Like, tell me the story.
We were recording last night, and I said, yeah, we're doing at the Al at the bike shop, and she goes.
I asked
And
Nikolai.
I said, yeah, Heidi's gonna, because this is the new thing with interviews. She's gonna be like my partner here, and she's like, I have a question for that. And I'm like, what? She goes, I think he was stabbed at a concert.
I asked Nikolai. He's like, I don't know. And I was like, I'm positive. Someone told me that he got
Are
stabbed.
you comfortable
Was
telling
it a
the story?
concert? I don't remember.
I mean, that's basically the story.
Yeah. Was it an argument or just?
Yeah. I don't want to get too much more into
Okay.
it. But yeah, I mean,
No, thank you.
Okay, so I met you once.
I never
Yeah.
want that ever. Like I never
wanna
want.
get
I
stabbed.
never want to be like shoot me.
Well,
Don't
they say
shoot me.
that stabbings are worse.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Was it like heart surgery, hospital?
Yeah.
Like, oh, fuck that. What was the band?
Dance Gavin Dance.
I'm not sure what kind of job music that is.
It's like a hardcore screamo.
Okay, that
Well,
makes
well.
sense. Like if you were at a Dave Matthews concert,
Everybody there's
It was
they're just too chill for that.
yeah, it's like I got stabbed at a No Doubt show. Like it's like how did like yeah, I guess
Rob Thomas. It was Brian.
Yeah, Brian stabbed you at a Rob Thomas charity show. Yeah. You want to go see Rob Thomas? How much are tickets? 60, like what? It was like $200.
Too
I'm like,
much, no.
is it like Matchbox 20? He goes, no, it's Rob Thomas playing acoustic guitar. I said, for
At a
$200.
coffee shop.
$200.
Two songs.
Oh my gosh.
Like, no fucking chance. He goes, all the charity goes to money. Or all the charity goes to money. All the charity goes to dogs. And I was like, all right,
Money, yeah.
maybe that makes a little more sense. But an acoustic show, that's an expensive ticket. You can steal Panther and Crowbot for less. Yeah.
Okay.
But,
we went on like crazy tangents.
I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Is the building still there, or do they tear it down?
The mall?
Yeah.
The mall,
Oh,
it's
gone.
a factory.
It's like
They
a
tore it down.
but
huge.
no
Yeah.
fact, like they.
It's like
they
a big
tore-
giant warehouse now.
But no one has
No one
been
bought
to
it.
put anything in it yet.
Oh, so it's just sitting there.
Well,
Yeah.
I heard the person who did originally like plan to buy it, they backed out because this dialysis place didn't leave when they were supposed to. Like they had just that corner was still up and the whole mall was gone.
Yeah, they were tearing the mall down around,
Around the dialysis.
and the dialysis
place.
spot was Memory Lane.
Yeah.
So the last thing to
And now
survive
they're
the mall
over-
was Memory Lane.
Yeah. And now they're over by Big Lots. But I heard that's the rumor. I heard that they backed out because dialysis place
It's
took
crazy
too
'cause
long.
they just did
and
a
no one ever
huge
bought it.
the Maria Road between Monte City and Shenandoah. They literally tore all
the
those
trees.
all those trees out, and they're putting a factory there. Somewhere on, like the road on 81, they're putting a factory. Like all the trees like between Monte City and Frackville, that is getting torn down for factory. And I believe some of the buildings that were around the mall are being torn down for factories. And they just tore down a mall, and they can't even get people to fill that factory yet.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about.
You could have kept it a mall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the worst part is, the guy who did the movie theater renovation, it was like whatever the amount was, it was like $2 million
Yeah.
in renovation. The mall sold for a little bit more than that.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
put in so much. That's why he sold everything.
Yeah.
Trying to get his money back.
Because he's like, he goes, I would buy them all, but I can't because I put everything into this theater. He was a really nice guy too. He wasn't from our area, I don't believe.
No, I think
I
he's
don't think so.
Florida.
Like Florida. Yeah. He came up, him and his wife, and I think we cried with him. I think everyone there was like, "Thank you so much for this." Like, because we made a lot of
Right.
friends. Like we saw people now that we
Mall
like.
was
Yeah.
something, man.
Yeah.
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 And
It
it's
was like
exciting. It's exciting like
2006,
this.
When I was in high school, I was like this skinny emo kid. That was like my peak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just like the cute kid. I thought of myself that way. I was like, I'm the cute kid at the mall. There would literally be like these like emo girls that would come in and just like peek at me. I was like, I am in this one place. I am like king. Everywhere else in the world, I'm just some weird kid. But like at this record store at 16, I was like king.
Yeah.
Like a year.
The mall was so fun. Like that was a hangout spot every Friday night. They had the Memory Lane under 21 shows.
I only went there like once and it was for a birthday party.
Yeah, the arcade. Like there was so much fun stuff there. It's a shame, and where we lose our mall we can rebuild with local shops
Hopefully, yeah.
back
I think
here in
that's great.
towns, and it's exciting because when you find a store like the Cycle Shop or Press Coffee or all these awesome businesses, you can then make your friendships again. And I think that we're not the only 4 people in Schuylkill County who still have stories of being at the mall and making friends and still having those friends to this day. And that's where, your local brewery starting up and all these great places, which you're also a part of as well, the brewery.
Yeah, I'm working there.
Yeah. Are you, what are you helping making the beer? Like, are you just going to be like bartending or?
We'll see.
Whatever they ask you to do.
Yeah, I mean, right now we've been doing construction the last year, so it's just been that.
How far along are they now?
Should be done we'll have our soft opening in a week.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So-
We got a tour.
Like the kitchen's finished. We are building our bar.
Nice.
I mean, and everything else is pretty much done.
That building's super cool. Super, super cool.
It's older than Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
It what?
It's older than the state of Oklahoma.
What?
Yeah. The
Yeah.
building's
Wow.
built in 1896. Oklahoma became a state in 1907.
Holy shit.
That's like my fun fact.
Crazy.
is
Yeah.
that building is older than Oklahoma.
And that's going to be half brewery, half winery.
Yeah.
So it's
more
Springgate.
than half brewery.
Yeah.
The brewery restaurant side is a lot larger, and then
Yeah.
the wine side is mostly like tastings and stuff like that.
It's if you haven't had a chance to experience it, or I don't know if you guys put photos of the inside or anything up yet about it, but it's
not doing the social media
it's really nice. The outdoor seating has come a long way. You guys put before it was just kind of like chairs and like just kind of quick get them out there so people can try it out and then just get your beer in a food truck. And the inside, I believe there's 2 bars, one on the first floor, one on the second.
That's just the first floor.
Just the
There
first
isn't a
floor?
second floor.
I thought the second floor has that big open area that they were talking about doing like
Yeah,
music
we're
and
not
stuff.
doing anything with the second floor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just with everything that happened over the last year, it's just I think it's more important for us to just get it open.
Yeah.
So it's just
No,
the
I agree.
first floor.
Yeah. But there, like I said, there is room to also grow and get stuff like that. Because as soon as I seen the second floor, I was like, this would be a great place for music,
Yeah,
to put
at some
bands,
point.
because we really don't have anything in this area when it comes to that either.
And the outdoor spaces are great for that too.
Yeah.
That's one of the plans for out there.
That's cool.
Just throw another love to more business. Crimson House's second half is opening, where Trippin' is, and from what I've been seeing online, they're putting like a virtual golf thing in there.
Oh,
Wow.
like Top Golf type.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
where it's like a green screen, you go in there, you hit
That
it.
stuff's super fun.
Yeah.
Even if you've never golfed before.
Yeah, I could be wrong. Don't quote me on it, but I think I've seen little teasers of that.
Yeah, it's
There's
small stuff like that. It makes a big difference. Just
Yeah.
like more and more things to do.
We need axe throwing to Pottsville. Axe throwing.
I feel like there's a lot of insurance with that.
I think there's one in was the closest one, the one that just opened in like Hamburg or Reading or something.
I've never done it.
It's a lot of. It looks like
It's fun.
It looks like a blast.
Yeah.
It's harder than it looks.
I did it in Oregon. I haven't done it out here.
What's that?
It is hard. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did it in
It's
Oregon.
way harder than it looks.
Yeah.
We did it in Vegas. I was hammered, and I'm like, you're gonna let me, dude? And they're like, yeah. My first time in Vegas, we went 2 years ago, and I bought a beer like on the street, on the strip, and
Because you can drink.
Okay.
and
Yeah,
I
we were
walk
super
out
confused.
with the beer, and I'm actually standing there like drinking it. I was like, leave,
You can go.
and I was like, what do you mean? He's like you can take your beer with you, and I was like, seriously? He's like, where are you from? And I was like, Pennsylvania. He goes, yeah, dude. As long as it's not a glass, you can walk. As long as you don't leave the strip area. Like if you leave the strip and you're just walking around Vegas,
Sure.
you're gonna get in trouble. But as long as you're in a strip, you can have open container.
Huh.
And I was like, cool. And then we're walking. I was like, I probably look like a kid, like a fresh 21. With I'm like showing everyone, like I'm doing this, right? And then like a cop walked by and I cupped it. I did like
Your bravery only extended so far.
cop. I was like. And I was like, yo, everyone smokes weed out
Yeah,
here.
it just smells like weed.
Yeah, there's literally guys walking on the street, just hitting. Like I was like,
Yeah.
this is the craziest place on earth. The guy offered to buy his drug, offered to sell me. So we're watching a band on Fremont Street. Guy comes up, he just gets right in my ear. I guess at the time my hair was like down to my chest, and he just gets right. I just hear, what's up? And he's like, you want to buy some drugs? And I went, no, not at all. And he goes, weed? And I was like, nope. He goes, coke? I said, nope. He goes, all right, cool. I'll be back in 15 minutes. I'll get you that coke. And I went, I don't want that.
I had the same thing happen at a bus station in Pittsburgh.
Really? So he leaves. And I'm like, we may have to run.
You're like, let's get out of here. Let's go
And
somewhere
so
else.
we didn't move because we're dumb.
Yeah.
And then next thing I know, I hear in my ear again. And he's eating a like McDonald's. Like he there's Big Mac sauce all over him, and he's just like, "Sup, bro?" And I'm like, "Sup?" And I just kind of turn back and start watching the band. He's like, "Yo, I got that Coke," and I was like, "I told you I didn't want that." And he's like, "My buddy's right down there." I was like, "I'm not
I don't
going."
know how many times I get to go.
I was like, "I'm not going." And he's like, "Come on." I'm like, "I'm a cop," and he went. And he just left me alone. But yeah, that was Vegas is a blast. But I hope we got mostly. Is there anything else about the
that's what I was
the
gonna ask. Is there
cycle
anything
shop
else you wanna-
before we get out? I'm pumped.
Stay tuned for when we open. Come visit.
Do you have like a
date?
social media page or anything?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
Facebook.
have Facebook,
Okay.
Pottsville Cyclery. We have an Instagram. I'm most active on the Instagram, but not super active. I'm a pretty bad millennial.
Yeah.
I'm bad. I like never.
Everything will
post
be
on
linked below. So if you want to follow on Instagram, social media, it will be linked below. You have an idea or date when this will be open?
As soon as humanly possible.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how long it's going to take, but definitely in the next month or two.
Cool.
all bike related
Hopefully
things.
Awesome.
Much sooner, but
When you first get open, is it going to be more or less for repairs at first, or are you going to have inventory?
yeah, because of the pandemic, and because of how successful bike sales were during that time, basically since all the factories were shut down in China and Taiwan where they're all made, where all the parts and things are made, the production line is just like so thoroughly destroyed that nobody can get anything. And from the people I've been talking to, it sounds like it's going to be pretty. It's not going to recover until like 2024. So
Ooh.
getting
Crazy.
bikes is possible, but it's going to be hard. Because nobody has them, everybody wants them, and so as soon as they get them, they sell out. All the big brands are like projecting like a year. Like if you order a bike today from like Trek, Giant, or Specialized, you get it in a year.
Wow.
Wow.
Holy cow.
And so at least that's what they're projecting. Stuff
Yeah.
could happen faster, but
So repairs will be big. So if you have
that's
if
the
you have
thing.
a bike,
If you've got
you're
a
like,
bike, get it fixed because you probably can't get a new one.
Yeah.
What about like accessories, like other stuff, like helmets, things like that?
A lot of that stuff is totally fine.
So you'll have lots of that?
The demand wasn't as strong for that stuff, but definitely for bikes, it's tricky. Which is it's a blessing and a curse because it keeps people on the bikes they have. Just be careful with the used market. The used prices are crazy right now because they can be
Yeah.
supply and demand.
So actually, this past summer, I got my bike out, and it was not working right.
how big is this bike?
It's a normal size bike. I mean, I have a unicycle, but that's besides the point.
When you stand on your bike, can you stand on the frame and your feet touch the ground?
I prefer not.
I just pictured a little tricycle from the China.
But it was such a pain to like figure out how to like take it apart. And I told my dad, I was like, I really need Alan right now. I know he's really into this and he could fix this problem. And it ended up being something so stupid that like I overlooked, everybody overlooked, but you'd probably look at it in a second and be like, oh, it's just this.
Yeah.
Can you get adult training wheels on bikes for people
Yeah.
like Heidi who are
Yeah,
Training
so
wheels.
they're mostly used for like people with special needs or like disabilities who like want to ride but can't
That's
afford
cool,
a
though.
trike.
Yeah.
They're really expensive. They're like over $100 because they have to support like a full adult. And that's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
We're just big people.
That's why mine
Yeah.
broke. My cousin was like in high school, he stood on them and then
Yeah.
they were not usable.
Another really, I know this has nothing to do with the type of bikes you're doing, but one of the kids' bikes that I've been seeing lately, which I think is like super genius, where they don't really put training wheels on bikes anymore.
No, training wheels suck.
Yeah, you get the bike with no pedals.
Yep.
And-
And called balance bikes.
Yeah,
it's
so
the future,
literally the
man.
kid stands on the bike
Yep.
and then he like kind of runs with it. And then he just, you pick your feet, like once you get momentum, you pick your feet and put them on the thing. And then once he wants to stop, he just puts his feet back down.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the problems with training wheels, we're going to go on a tangent here. The way that they're supposed to be used is they're supposed to both be off the ground a little bit so that when you ride, it's really just supposed to catch you if you lean either way. But the way people use them is they make it a four-wheeled bike.
Yep.
And they drop them all the way to the ground. So then the kid never learns how to balance. So when training wheels are used correctly, when they're like an inch off the ground either side, it's just supposed to catch you
Yeah,
if you fall.
like a bumper in
But
bowling.
you never learn. But if you put them all the way down, the kid never has to learn how to balance. And so if you just get rid of them completely with like those balance bikes, then when kid goes to ride a real bike for the first time, it's way easier. Yeah, it's the future, man. Training wheels are,
Yeah, I think those balance bikes are cool.
Yeah.
They're super neat.
yeah, I'm a huge fan of that.
Yeah. And then like I see you have like the tandem bikes.
Uh-huh.
Very cool.
Terrifying.
No.
I don't
trust
think I
someone
would.
else enough to.
Yeah, like I would never
I
get
don't
on
trust
that.
you.
I would never get on that with you.
You'd wreck us on purpose.
So I did drop my wife once when we were going on a ride. Because so there's two different positions on a tandem. There's the front, which is the captain, and the rear, which is the stoker. So the person in the front typically handles everything, all the shifting, steering, braking, and the person in the back just pedals.
And just looks at a butt.
Well, it looks around. I mean, yeah, it looks at the butt, I guess. But it's actually great for me because, when I ride, I'm focused so much on the street and trying to not hit potholes and steer. And then my wife behind me, she's just like, "Look at this beautiful rainbow! Look at this mountain! Look at this stuff that I would never see."
Is she now when you're back there? She doesn't even have to pedal. She can
No,
just
she has to pedal.
She has to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The back
they're
person
attached.
pedals.
So if she doesn't pedal, I can feel it
and then you're just
working
pulling
harder.
extra weight.
because the pedals move in tandem. So when I move my right foot, it moves her right foot. So I can feel if she's not pushing, and she is. She's great.
Yeah.
But there was one time where when we come to a stop, I have to stop first and put my feet down. And one time I wasn't quick enough, and I had because we clip in, so our feet are attached to the pedals, and I unclipped and bailed, and she was clipped in and didn't have time, and so I dropped her in the bike.
And she already had this horrible accident already on a bike.
Yeah. And so I'm standing over the bike, and she's laying trapped underneath it, not happy. And we had another 20 miles to go before we got home.
Yeah, I just don't think. I mean, we've been together a long time, 13 years.
It'll be 14.
Going on 14. I love you, but I would never get on that with you.
No, I wouldn't trust you to drive.
Yeah, it's terrible for some couples, and it's great for others.
Yeah, we would
You
be
would crash
divorced.
me on purpose.
I would 100%, or I would fart right in your face.
You would bail on purpose. I got
Be
stuck.
flicking me in the butt. Just drive like, you scumbag. Yeah, and there's ones that there's 3 or 4. They make crazy.
Oh yeah,
ones.
Trident is a 3-person one.
Crazy.
That's a lot of trust.
That's
Yeah.
a lot of, yeah.
We can't even play Mario when you have to share a
No.
screen together.
No, I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah. I'm like, move. You're like, there's something back here.
Do they still make the chopper bikes?
Yeah.
Okay, I have one from when the American Chopper one.
Oh, wow.
It's still sitting in my basement. I used it.
Oh, with
3
the big
times.
fat back tire.
Yeah,
the-
and it
Yeah,
was
they're
made,
super popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a certain group of people. They're not everyday riding
Right.
bikes, but yeah. People
What
trick
is
them
your
out and do crazy
favorite
stuff with them?
style of bike or brand or?
So I'm definitely what would be called a roadie, somebody who rides on the road.
Yeah.
And most of that's just when I grew up, I was riding in the streets in Chicago, and so being on pavement was most comfortable. And then when I moved to Oregon, the people that I would ride with did road cycling, and I did road racing out there. But I've done mountain biking. I have a mountain bike. I have a road bike. But yeah, I'm definitely mostly a roadie.
I think our who would you say is our most famous biker in this area?
I don't know.
Joe Schneider.
Oh yeah, that's true. I need
Yeah.
to get him in here someday.
Yeah, that would be the goal.
I would peak.
Yeah.
It's all downhill from there.
It's like
Should
I
all just start
forgot about
tweeting
him.
him.
yeah, I have a beer podcast, and they're like, "What is your?" I'm like, "I want to have a beer with one of the Yngling members.
Yeah.
I want to have a beer with Dick or one of the daughters." And for you, it'd be like you need
Joe
you need
Joe
Joe,
Schneider.
you need to get Joe in here.
I think
in
I met
his-
him in,
his
middle
single
school.
suit. Do you wear that too?
Oh, yeah.
Like
I was
like-
out today on a ride.
What do they call those?
Well, so
Bike
it's
shorts,
2 pieces.
right?
There's
Oh, it's 2? It's not-
yeah. There's a jersey and then there's bib shorts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I always think of the
There are
Breakfast Club.
single piece.
You wear
ones, but-
tights. I wear the required uniform. Yeah, it's a
think it's
cool
cool.
thing. I look for when I'm driving Maria Road and stuff, and I see people on bikes. Obviously, I do the whole I give them I go around. I hope it's something we get more of, and I think you're going to be a huge trend center for that happening, and I'm excited. I'm pumped that we were in here and
Yeah.
got to experience
Very
this
cool.
and got to know you a little better, and you got to hear
Relive some FYE.
yeah,
details.
learn about bikes, hear bike stories, and then hear about people destroying their penises on gates. It was a little bit of everything.
I forgot about that story, actually.
What's that
I forgot about that.
about Miles?
Frankenweenie?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll tag him. We'll be like, "Hey, we told your story." He'll be proud of it. He probably
probably
will.
will.
He'd be like,
Johnny love
"Sweet,
it.
bro," because
He'll track me down.
yeah, he'll be in there buying a bike off you.
So I heard they told that story.
Oh, so another thing with bikes. Well, last thing, and then we'll get out of here. Seats. Mm-hmm. That's a make or break thing for people on bikes.
Yeah. So it's counter to what you would think.
Yeah.
Most people think they want a big, cushy seat. The problem is, it just creates more pressure points. And so a small seat really is better. Yes, it hurts to sit on, but like anything, it's you have to just build the muscle. And I know that sucks to hear, But yeah, when you're first riding, you kind of just have to get your butt used to like sitting on something small. Because when you get one of those big cushy seats, it just becomes really uncomfortable because there's just so many pressure points that it'll just never get there.
When I was a kid, I could sit on a bike seat all day long. No issues, no problems. I think there was a brief stint where I was going to get into biking and I was going to do it with my dad because like the only way I could really bond with my dad is if I do things he's into.
Sure.
Like he's
So they
never.
just drink beer now.
Yeah,
That's what they do.
we drink beer.
You
and-
found a common ground.
Yeah, I tried to do biking. I tried being a firefighter. I tried bowling. I tried what else? Golf. All of it, and I hated every one of it. The only cool thing I ever did in golf was I hit my brother with a ball. That was funny. Bowling, I just annoyed people to the point where they would like, he has to leave the league because I would because they would take it too seriously, and I'm like, it's bowling.
It's
And then-
serious to them.
I know they get so mad when I say it's not a sport.
Especially your mom.
Yeah.
Oh my
Let's
God.
not go on this
Man,
road.
so they used to have another tangent here. They used to have the Plaza Lanes, like
Yeah.
after school bowling. Man, I was like a 4-year in a row champ.
Really?
For like
Yeah.
the kid
We
thing.
tried to
I had
join
like
a
my own
thing.
ball.
Yeah.
I was
Oh,
like,
man.
Oh, same
I was
here.
serious.
I
was like really good.
I threw a backup ball, and there was a guy up there who bowled. His name was Terry. I don't remember Terry's last name, but Terry had a kid. And he was like, him and this kid were like superstars. And we were in like an adult youth where it was like me and my mom, and then like Terry and his superstar kid were up, and they were up there with they had the outfits, the gloves. They threw like the fancy style, and I threw it like
Straight.
a nana. Like
Yeah.
they called it a backup ball. But I was good at it.
Your grandma's really good, so it's
She's not really good, but
She's good,
for being her age, she's fantastic.
but she like throws a strike every time. She doesn't even watch it. She throws it and just turns around and slowly walks back, and it's a strike
It
every
takes the
time.
ball so long to get down there.
It takes forever, but she doesn't
And then
even
she
watch.
Sat down and had a Coke and
Yeah.
then looks
Yeah.
up and then it strikes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, she's that was a joke. Like, so you're an athlete. So my mom's an athlete, and they're like, shut up. Anyway, so I go up there. We're in an adult youth league, and this dude, like first night, bowls a 300 in an adult youth league. I looked at my mom like, I quit.
Yeah, we're done.
Like he just threw a perfect game.
This
Like,
isn't for me.
yeah, I'm done. I'm gonna go play the arcade. I'm out of here. And I would just get bored by like it's fun your first game, second game is like all right, and then the third game is like you're because you have to focus, you have to focus on your spots. You got to hit the same thing over and over.
You're easily distracted.
Yeah, my ADHD is not perfect for me. It's great when you go bowling with your buddies like glow bowling and you're like,
That's fun.
I got the
It's always
gold
fun.
pin, and you're hammered, drunk, and like that's a good time. But like I couldn't if there was a league of just glow bowling, I would do that where they just played music the whole time and it
We
wasn't.
tried
taking-
a league once. It was like a beginner league because I'm not good. I remember they had like those other people who would just sign up who are really good
Take it serious.
because they want to like.
They want to win the prize money.
Yeah.
So they go in, they sandbag, and
Yeah.
they go in there and say their average is real low, and they come in with 14 balls.
They did. They literally
the
showed
fir-
up with all their game, like 4 balls.
She's all
and I was like,
excited. She's ready to go, and I
well, I'm gonna
I
do
walk
this
in
now.
and I'm just like, I hate this already. She goes, what? She goes, oh, the people we're bowling against are nice. Like, no, they're not. They're scumbags. And she goes, they're really nice to us. I'm like, they're here to be pirates. She goes, what do you mean? I said, they're joining this league, and they're gonna win every prize money. And she goes, what do you mean? I said, they're gonna start off, and they're gonna bowl really, really terrible, and we'll beat them, and you're gonna get confident. But they're doing this on purpose so they can be the most improved bowler throughout the league. They're going to come in and they're going to have really, really low averages, and then by the end of the thing, they would be the most improved. They'd have the highest average, and then they would
And
get
they would
that.
win.
They'd get that, and then by the end of the season, they had the best. They got
They had
every
figured out the
single.
scam.
Yeah.
They knew how to go in there and win everything to win the prize money.
yeah.
And I was just like, and she goes, how do you know all this? And I said, come here. And I lived in the Plaza Lane, so I'd go over.
Yeah, your mom bowls like all.
We went over to like the plaques where it shows every single league,
They're
and I looked at their names. I went to every league, and I said, "There's their name here."
Yeah.
And his average is a 260. Here's his, and I said, "Now he just bowled a 115 tonight, and he came in with a bag full of 15 balls." And I was just like, I went up to the counter. I'm like, Bud, kick
We're
these
done.
guys out.
We're out.
Remember, Bud's now at Strikers. Like he's an old like that kid knew me since I'm 8, and I'm like, I
Yeah.
hate this. I'm done. I'm not doing this league. I'm gonna fight these people. And I wasn't there to win money, but it was like you're taking the fun out of it.
Yeah.
It's clearly not. Yeah, it's like a professional entering amateur thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was a shit show, but yeah, that happens. But
How did we get to bowling?
I have no idea. I don't know, but I had a great time.
Yeah.
If you ever want to do this again, I'm always down. I would love once you get established here in summer
yeah.
times, maybe we could do something where we can like sponsor a event if you want to do like an event, like a charity thing, like ride bikes for. I know the big thing is like during the summer times, people do like you log so many hours and people sponsor that. Maybe we can do like you guys are like the hub for it.
Yeah,
it'd be
love
fun.
to do that.
If there's anything you need from us to help promote or get that kind of stuff out or building communities, we're on board.
Cool.
We're definitely
Anything
on board.
else you want to say?
Plug or say before we get out of here?
Good.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys next time. Interviews Everyday People. We're out of here.
Sorry for being so sorry all of the time. So sorry for being sorry all of the time. So sick and tired of sorries all the time. So sorry for being sorry all of the time. Monday comes, never drinking again. Apologies